lesson, we're going to learn another way to graph an equation. This time we're going to graph using intercepts. So the first thing you're going to need to know when graphing intercepts is how to find an intercept. Okay, so this section is called Finding Intercepts. Finding intercepts. They're going to give you an equation in standard form. So for example, 3x minus 4y equals 12. From this equation, you're going to find the x-intercept and the y-intercept. It's going to give you two ordered pairs, and you're going to draw your equation with those two ordered pairs. So you need to find an x-intercept and a y-intercept. To find the x-intercept, you want an x equals at the end. So if you want an x equals, see how there's two variables? You're going to have to substitute 0 in for y to get an x equals. Now this is just like plugging any x value into the table like we did last time. In the last lesson we made a t-chart. We picked an x value, we plugged it into the equation to find the y value. This time we're plugging a y value in to find the x value. That y value is 0. So I'm plugging 0 in for y. And solving for x. Negative 4 times 0 is 0. Oh, not x. Divide by 3. To x by itself, you divide by 3. So my x-intercept is 4. And we're going to leave it at that for now. We're going to talk more about that in a little bit. So that's your x-intercept. Let's find our y-intercept. Our y-intercept, we want a y equals at the end. So there are two variables. If we want a y equals, you have to substitute 0 in for x. Okay, so 3 times 0 minus 4y equals 12. Solve for y. 3 times 0 is 0. Always take that term out in front. This is a negative 4y. To get y by itself, we divide. So our y-intercept is a negative 3. So we have two answers. X equals 4, that's our x-intercept, and y equals negative 3, that's our y-intercept. Okay, go ahead and try 4x minus 2y equals 10. Push pause and try that now. You should have gotten two answers. You need to find an x-intercept and a y-intercept. To find the x-intercept, you want an x equals at the end. So you're going to substitute 0 in for y. Because there are two variables, you want to get rid of that y. Negative 2 times 0 is 0. Oops. Guess we're going to get a decimal or a fraction here. In this instance, you can put this in your calculator and figure out what it is as a decimal, or you can reduce it to figure out what it is as a proper fraction. I'm going to divide them both by 2. You get 5 over 2. When you end up graphing, you're going to want to turn it into a mixed number. Either way. The y-intercept. At the end, you want a y equals. So you're going to substitute 0 in for x. 4 times 0 is 0. Make sure you bring down a whole term. It's a negative 2. Your y by itself, you divide by negative 2. So y equals a negative 5. Your x-intercept is 2 1/2, and your y-intercept is a negative 5. Okay, so I showed you how to find intercepts. What does that have to do with graphing? Let me explain to you, or let's write a definition of what an x-intercept and a y-intercept is. An x-intercept is the x-coordinate of a point where the graph crosses the x-axis. Is the x-coordinate of a point graph crosses the x-axis. It's where the graph intercepts the x-axis. That's why they call it an intercept. It intercepts at the x-axis. So you can imagine what a y-intercept would be then. It's the y-coordinate of a point where the graph crosses the y-axis. Is the y-coordinate of a point where the graph crosses the y-axis. The y-intercept intercepts the graph on the y-axis. So let me show you how to graph them. So they're going to give you an equation in standard form. 4x plus 8y equals 24. We're going to find the intercepts just like we did in the last slide. You need to find the x-axis, x-intercept, and the y-intercept. To find the x-intercept, you want an x equals, so you're going to plug 0 in for y. So 4x plus 8 times 0 equals 24. 8 times 0 is 0. 24 divided by 4 is 6. Okay? We're going to leave that for now and work with the y-intercept. You want a y equals, so you're going to plug 0 in for x. 4 times 0 plus 8y equals 24. 4 times 0 is 0, so we're left with a positive 8y equals 24. Divide both sides by 8. You get a y-intercept of 3. Okay, how do we graph this information? We're going to draw a quick graph. Oops. There we go. You're going to be using graph paper on your homework. Okay, so we just learned that the x-intercept, you just wrote this definition. The x-intercept is where the x crosses the x-axis. The x-intercept is where the line crosses the x-axis. This ordered pair, or this intercept, tells me that you have a point on the x-axis at 6. X equals 6. You have an ordered pair at 6 on the x-axis. This intercept tells me that you have an ordered pair on the y-axis at a positive 3. You have enough information to draw a line. Now let's think this through. I want to make sure we understand this. The x-intercept is where the line crosses the x-axis. The line crosses through the x-axis at 6. This is an ordered pair. This ordered pair is 6, 0. Look at all of these connections here. The x-intercept is where the line crosses the x-axis. If the line is going to cross the x-axis, the y value is going to be 0. Hence, we plugged in 0 for y. When you plug 0 for y, you'll get 6. This ordered pair right here is 0, 3. The y-intercept is where the line crosses the y-axis. This goes through the y-axis at 3. That ordered pair is 0, 3. We got 0, 3 because we plugged 0 in for x. We got the x value 0. And your answer was 3. Okay. Let's see here. Your turn. I have two different ones I want you to try. I want you to try 3x plus y equals 15. Solve your two intercepts and then graph it. I also want you to try, this one's not in standard form, y equals negative 12x plus 3. This is actually in something called slope-intercept form, but you can still solve for your x and y intercepts. We have one more thing. I have this graph. Well, before we look at the graph, why don't we give this a title? This title is, use a graph to find intercepts. pair is at negative 2, 0, and 0, 1. Our job is to find the x and the y-intercept. You're going to have two answers. Remember, the x-intercept is where the line crosses the x-axis. This is the x-axis right here. So our x-intercept is negative 2. Maybe I should put x-intercept equals. Negative 2. This ordered pair is negative 2, 0. Our y-intercept is where the line crosses the y-axis. Here's the y-axis. The line goes through the ordered pair 0, 1. Our y-intercept is going to be that y value. That y value is 1. All right, your turn. Draw this graph. Looks like you have ordered pairs at 4, 0, and 0, negative 3. Find your x and y intercept.